I just campaign every day as if it's going to be a close race. And really the centerpiece of my campaign has been door-to-doors. And I've now visited about 3,000 likely voters in Norwalk and New Canaan. And I've been getting just great reactions. And what a lot of the voters are talking about, this was really borne up by the Quinnipiac poll, which did an issues aspect, and I think 70% of the respondents in Quinnipiac said the jobs and the economy and taxes and the budget were the primary issues. And that's what I'm finding in the 142nd district. That's where it's a lot of people's minds. And so people are happy to hear about my strong finance background. And as you know, I've been in banking for 30 years. I've been with Webster Bank for the last 11 years, and I'm in charge of all our relationships with small businesses in the Norwalk area and Lower Fairfield County. And then I chaired for the city the Board of Estimate for the last 8 years. So I have a strong finance background both in the private sector with small businesses and also in the municipal finance side. And I'd like to bring that up to Hartford to really bring a fresh perspective. I don't think there's many people with my backgrounds up in the state legislature. In terms of, I know what I stand for, I know what the voters are looking for, and I'm going to be a very direct spokesman for those views. And I have a history of being able to work with others, form coalitions, form teams, and to get things done. I mean, like for example, when I chaired the Board of Estimate for the city for 8 years, there were 4 Republicans and 3 Democrats that were on the board. But every year we had a unanimous vote on the budget. And that's because I made sure as chair that we brought everybody in and we worked together and everyone felt like they were part of the solution. At Webster Bank, I worked with small businesses in terms of bringing them into the bank and then working with other parts of the bank to deliver services to those customers. So I'm very used to that style. So I certainly would be looking to work with my colleagues across the aisle and fellow Republicans to build coalitions and certainly really represent the interests of Norwalk very, very directly. One in particular would be with the school funding with the ECS formula, which again, I mean, there's no way as a single legislator I can change that formula. But the way I look at it, if I'm not going to speak out on behalf of Norwalk, well, who else will? And so I'm going to do that and let everyone know that I believe that we're being shortchanged, that we're not getting our fair share. And so my first bill that I'm going to introduce would be to see if we can get more back to Norwalk. I would frame it out would be that if there were any, as a practical matter, I'm not going to propose taking existing money away from another town or city. I think that's an impractical approach. So what I would propose is that for any new monies that would go into the ECS bucket, that Norwalk would get a higher share of any new monies that were made available. Well, I really think the number one thing that needs to be done is getting the state budget under control. I think I really believe that if our fiscal house is in order, that's really the foundation that we need to have other things happen. In particular, what makes me, I think, different from my opponent is that I'm willing to talk about specific areas of spending that need to be addressed. And I have 2. The first is I believe we should do in Hartford what we did here in Norwalk. When I was, again, on the Board of Estimate, we were part of the process of renegotiating all the union contracts with the city unions. And what we were able to achieve for most of them were reform on the benefits side of things. Benefit costs like health care and pension and OPEB or post-retirement were the biggest driver of cost increases in the city budget. And it's also a big driver of increases in the state budget. And so what we negotiated was for all new hires had to go on to benefits like the private sector, 401k style pension plans, HSA medical, no OPEB. And it's going to save the city a lot of money in the future. And I believe we need to do the same thing in Hartford, and I would definitely support that. For the other area of spending is what I would call corporate welfare. And there was a move, for example, of a hedge fund to move from Westport to Stamford. And the state was going to pay them $115 million to relocate. And I don't support that kind of activity. Now they ended up not moving, but you know, I tend to think when large companies do those sorts of things, there's a lot of posturing and hedging going on, and I don't think the taxpayer should be held hostage to things like that. Small Business Express, which is a part of the jobs package, and that's for small businesses. I support that. Actually, a number of my customers at the bank have used that program.
Okay.
And you know, that again, that's smaller size, small businesses, you know, $100,000 grant to hire more people.
Yeah.
That's been working, and I support that. Yeah. You know, I mean, we should be in a situation where businesses want to be here, and if at the end of the day, the only way we can keep businesses is if we give them breaks and payments to stay. I think that's a slippery slope. It's a losing battle. I mean, for example, in Stamford, you've got UBS. They tout the huge trading floor that they had, and when they opened up the center, you know, it was filled with people. But now my understanding is that floor is empty, and all the traders are relocated to New York City. I mean, at the end of the day, businesses are going to do what's in their best interest. The walk bridge, the railroad bridge here over the Norwalk River, where, I mean, obviously it's vital that bridge stays operational. I mean, if it doesn't, I mean, we're talking about Metro North and Amtrak shutting down. And you know, one of the things that I've been saying is that we in Fairfield County are the economic engine of I believe, of Connecticut. And I think sort of the economic engine of Fairfield County is literally our connection to New York City and Metro North and Amtrak. So, you know, we really need to make. Certainly as a legislator, I would do whatever I can to support making sure that you know, that bridge gets repaired and it stays operational. I really believe the primary has made me a better candidate and put me in. I mean, it gave me the opportunity to walk the entire district, which I did. And I called on about 1,300 Republicans in Norwalk and New Canaan. And so I really got to hear what was on their mind, and I really got to learn the district. I mean, literally walking the district, I got to know the geography and the visuals, and got to see people's homes and what was going on. And so, and I put a team together. So at the end of the day, I really believe it put me in a better position for the general election, and hopefully it's going to make me a better. It's made me a better candidate, and hopefully it makes me a better state legislator.